All right, so what I did just now is I stopped the lathe. I took the rod out of the tailstock and replaced it with a piece of 35 millimeter Pyrex, and that is going to be the base. So what I got to do now is I got to attach that tube, and then flare it up for a base. And then I get to demonstrate a procedure called fire cutting, which if you're a glass blower and you're working on the lathe, you need to learn how to fire cut. So there's a little bit of a nub on the bottom of this sunflower ball. I'm going to pull that off. I want to have a relatively flat bottom. I want to be mindful about my flour. It is moving around a little bit, so I want to keep it centered. It's always better if you have to stop the lathe and spin it to go in the direction of the lathe. You can pull it backwards, but I got a feeling that's probably not good for the lathe. So now I'm going to heat up the tubing in the tailstock. I'm going to paddle it down to like a funnel, and I'm going to attach that to the bottom. When I have to clean off my paddle, I wipe it on my pant leg. It's a glass blowing trick. Just going to change the pants every once in a while, maybe once a month. All right, there we go. All right, so we're going to attach this onto the base of the ball. Now, when I make ornaments, I always put a tiny little hole at the top where the loop goes. When I make an ornament on a vise, I got to put a tiny little hole at the bottom. So I'll put it behind the flower, so hopefully you won't see it. It's just a tiny little air hole right back here. Not too noticeable, but I know it's there. Nobody else is going to notice it. But now that you're watching this video, you're going to know about it. All right, so we want to make sure that everything is ready to go, and we're going to do what's called a fire cut, which is I love these things. So what you do is you start heating a small band of glass. You always have your flame on the top of the tubing, because you want to just get a very narrow band of glass hot. And then you slowly pull the tailstock away, and what you're doing is you're making that tubing thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner. I'm going to stop for a minute. It is like, this part right here is like paper thin. But you gotta know exactly when to go real fast, because you're gonna basically tear the glass away, and you're gonna use a flame to cut the glass when you do that. So we just did it, and sometimes what happens is you pull it out of the headstock, and that's bad, because then it could just fall out of the lathe and land on the bench, and that is not good. I'm not really blowing anymore, so I don't need this blow hose anymore. But you know, when you're a glass blower and you're used to having a blow hose in your mouth all the time, sometimes you keep it in your mouth even when you don't need it. But what I'm doing now is I got a short piece of tubing on it, and I'm just going to flare this up, and this is going to be the base. And I need a carbon rod, and a carbon rod that is flat on the bottom, not pointy. You need ones that are pointy sometimes. You need some that are flat. This one's flat, and I'm going to put it in here, and I'm slowly going to heat it up. You want to make sure that you concentrate your flame on the outside. If you heat too close to the ball, you're not going to get a good flare. If you don't like the way it's going, you can always use a paddle and bring it back down. But what you want, what I like to have my base be as big as the diameter of the ball. Maybe even a little bigger, because I don't want these things to fall over. So I'm just concentrating the heat on the edge of the glass. I'm slowly flaring it up. I'm trying to get a nice, even base. And then once I'm happy with how big it is, then I'll use a paddle and I'll just lay it on here just to make sure it's flat, because you want it to sit flat. So this has been pretty successful. I got a tiny little hole in the bottom of this globe where the air can escape when I put it in for the final annealing. I got a good base on it. The final step will be, when I take it out of the oven tomorrow, is to pull off the tubing that's in the headstock and just make it a round little, or I could even put like a little ball on the end, which I might do. So let me get this out of the lathe and into the oven. I got to use gloves because this glass that's in the headstock is hot. But that is the final result. And I'm quite happy with that. I am quite happy with how that turned out.